This hour of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by my good friends at Advantage Gold. Advantage Gold is a 5-star rated gold company with one-of-a-kind customer service. And when it comes to gold and precious metals, Advantage Gold is the only company I'll work with. Call Advantage Gold today and make sure you let them know that Mark Levin sent you. And now, let's begin.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. Red-blooded Americans are waking up. We've had about enough of the Marxists and the Islamists. We've had enough of their anti-Americanism. We've had enough of their anti-Semitism. We've had enough of their supporters in the Democrat Party. We've had enough of their supporter in the Oval Office, of their supporter at the State Department. Many of you are veterans. Many of you are family members of individuals who fought in World War II. Well, they're back. The Soviet Marxists and the Hitlerian Islamists. And I've been saying over and over and over again, here, on Fox, on Blaze, the fusion between the Marxists and the Islamists. It's here. 3 years ago, I wrote a book called American Marxism. I said it's here. 6-8 months ago, I wrote a book called The Democrat Party Hates America. It's here. They're here. And in the back of American Marxism, I have a whole list of things we can do with these colleges and universities. And I'm quite pleased to say that the Republicans in the House, either wittingly or unwittingly, are going right down that list. The BDS movement against our colleges and universities, it's in the book. Defunding these colleges and universities, it's in the book. Eliminating tenure so these Marxist Islamists, hate American Hitlerians can't be on the public dole for the rest of their lives. It's in the book, as well as much more. As well as much more. Jim Jordan will be on the program in the last hour of the program, chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. The House just voted. You see what I wrote down here. 320 to 91, 18 not voting, for the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act. And basically it codifies, that is, it makes statutorily firm what has been the interpretation of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which does not specifically protect religion. But our president, President Trump, he signed an executive order extending the Civil Rights Act to cover Jewish students on college campuses. That's right, he did it. Jim Jordan is the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. This is a courageous man. It's thanks to him and the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, that this vote got to the floor in a timely way and was voted on to codify what is effectively Donald Trump's view. And we have the usual nay voters and so forth. I'm getting emails and texts from friends, and I'm not going to mention them because they are friends. Did you see the language that was slipped into the foreign funding bill? Look at this section, $3.5 billion to import Hamas into our country. Excuse me? Oh, yes, read it. It's what it says. It's what Marco Rubio says it says. You know what's interesting to me, ladies and gentlemen? Kevin McCarthy and Mike Johnson, the former speaker and the current speaker, have done more and said more and led more in opposing anti-Semitism and supporting Israel in the vein of Donald Trump than any speakers in American history. And so now I'm supposed to believe that Mike Johnson either unwittingly or wittingly personally slipped this language into the bill to ensure that Hamas terrorists get into the country. Well, let me explain something. Joe Biden is ensuring that, and he doesn't need any bill. In fact, he's not using the bill. He's using existing law and rules, as he always does, twisting them and destroying them. This story came out by CBS News. Nobody was talking about it. We took it national. We took it national last night. The Biden administration is considering bringing certain Palestinians to the U.S. as refugees, a move that would offer permanent safe haven. In other words, citizenship, housing, food. In recent weeks, the document shows senior officials across several federal U.S. agencies have discussed the practicality of different options to resettle Palestinians from Gaza who have immediate family members who are American citizens or permanent residents. And apparently they've already allowed some 1,800 or so into the country. So my question to Marco Rubio, and it's not to pick on him in the least, he's a great patriot. But my question to all the senators, Republicans, my question to all the House members, Republicans, how does this go on without you knowing about it? We have intelligence committees. We have national security committees. We have defense committees. How did this go on without these Senate committees and House committees knowing about it? How did it happen? We have committees for committees, subcommittees, and sub-subcommittees. They say everything needs to go by order of the committee. Everything has to go through the committee. Okay. How the hell does Biden, the entire federal bureaucracy, one department after another, scheme behind Congress's back to bring in Palestinians from Gaza? How does that happen? Are they falling asleep on their job? But look at this language that was slipped in this bill. Look at what's happening to our country right now, with or without that bill. How is that possible? And if the Senate didn't know about it, and the House didn't know about it, why not? Why not? When's the last time Anthony Blinken's been dragged before a committee of Congress? I can't remember. How about the National Security Advisor? I can't remember. These are the people making the decisions. It's incredible. Now, CBS goes on to attack Israel and make excuses for why this is a good thing. We don't care about that. We don't care about that. CBS goes on to talk about 34,000 people killed in Gaza, but doesn't say they got that information from Hamas because it's a flat-out blood libel lie. But somebody tell me, any congressman can call me, any senator can call me, somebody tell me how this happened while you're meeting in Congress, while you're holding hearings in Congress, while you have administration officials in front of you, whether it's immigration, defense, State Department officials. How the hell did you miss this? And yet they're going to tell me that Mike Johnson, who got this vote to the floor today with the help of Jim Jordan on the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act that was written by Mike Lawler, who we had on last night, that he wants Hamas to come into the country? This is the crazy-ass idiocy? Are you serious? And yet this is happening under Congress's eyes. They hold hearings, they give speeches, they go on TV, they go on radio, they talk, propose. What are they doing to rein in this administration? What are they doing to rein in this administration? At least give we the people the information. I got to read it from this pro-Hamas CBS News source yesterday to the nation, to 14.5 million people. I have to read it from CBS. Where are these committees? Getting additional Palestinians out of Gaza, processing them as refugees if they have American... This isn't in the new foreign aid bill. This is today, before any new foreign aid bill. It's happening right now. Even my brothers and sisters at the Blaze, they didn't write about this. Even my brothers and sisters at Breitbart, we didn't know about this, did we? Now, we're reporting it now. It's very important. But this was concealed. That's why they didn't know about it. That's why Blaze didn't know. That's why Breitbart didn't know. That's why I didn't know. But how is it the members of the Senate and the House didn't know? Lied to? It was concealed? And what are the consequences to attack the Speaker? I'm so tired of the lack of statesmanship, the lack of serious people. It drives me crazy. As somebody who has spent really more than half a century building up the conservative constitutionalist movement, what we become, weak, petty. Well, we're going to have to fight that, America, you and I. We don't get our guidance from members of Congress. We don't get our guidance from people in broadcasting, even though I'm one of them. That's not where we get our guidance. We think for ourselves. We think for ourselves. That's what we do. Now, okay, getting a call that I can't take, that I'd love to take, but I can't take. Well, I can take it. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Our once mighty dollars under siege from runaway inflation. For those still working, your paychecks buy less while costs for gas, food, cars, utilities skyrocket thanks to inflation. That's why I'm urging all my listeners to register for the upcoming Gold and Silver Summit hosted by our friends at Advantage Gold. It's a fantastic seminar. They'll teach you how to take steps to help guard your wealth from inflation using asset diversification into physical precious metals. Gold and silver hold intrinsic value that should remain untouched by government manipulation. Folks, don't wait for the Fed's reckless policies to completely devalue the dollar and steal your life savings. Call now while free registration is open. I'm telling you, this is a fantastic seminar. Call 800-900-8000 right now. The Gold and Silver Summit could provide the vital insights we need to protect our families. 800-900-8000. Tell them Mark Levin sent you. Performance may vary. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Always consult your financial and tax professionals. So for literally months, Jewish students on college campuses and other students who are trying to defend the Jewish students have been brutalized, have been assaulted, have been threatened for months. And the media in America has barely said a damn thing until now, and that includes their surrogates like Mediaite, busy trashing Trump. Because, you know, if Trump's elected, democracy is on the line. And so the man who founded Mediaite is a guy by the name of Dan Abrams, who is a little schizophrenic about what he is and who he is. ABC News analyst for a period of time. He's on One is he on? One Nation. He's also the Jerry Springer of Court TV. But he founded this site called Mediaite that has really no purpose. They basically lift clips from the media and then put their own headlines on where they're prepubescent little writers who've accomplished nothing over their lives, give their little spin. It's sort of like an amateurish Media Matters, which, of course, is funded by Soros. Kobe Hall, I believe, was a big-time producer, or director, or something once on cable TV. Otherwise, he's utterly unaccomplished. And so here's a headline: Fox airs shocking footage of pro-Israel protesters violently attacking pro-Palestine encampment on UCLA campus. So after all these months, this is what draws the ire of Kobe Hall. And, of course, he talks about Fox News because they're obsessed. Shocking footage of a violent clash between a group of pro-Israel and pro-Palestine protesters on UCLA's campus overnight was aired Wednesday morning on Fox and Friends. The LA Times reports the clash occurred when pro-Israel counter-protesters arrived on campus to tear down the encampment. And then he quotes them. Fox's Jonathan Hunt joined Fox and Friends to present the stunning footage, which included violent acts by pro-Israel protesters, angry at pro-Palestinian protests, following news of attacks and ostracization of students at UCLA. Now, he does no independent reporting. None. He cites Fox. He cites Jonathan Hunt. He posts Teresa Watanabe, pro-Israel counter-protesters start tearing down UCL encampment. Then he has other people that he cites. Then he leaves. It's what we call a hit and run. Let me explain something. This is how the media work. When Jews finally defend themselves, you see, they're oppressors. They're aggressive. They're the protagonists. This has been going on for months. Jews have been humiliated, spat on, threatened, ambushed, beaten. And this group comes together and says, that's enough. And over on Mediaite, he posts something from Raphael Shmanunov. Zionist groups dressed like Proud Boys violently attack UCLA students while police do nothing. It's the Jews, you see. They think they have it right there. I'm going to tell Mr. Colby what's-his-ass and his boss Dan Abrams and all the rest. Jews are not going to crawl into a corner in a fetal position. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. They're not calling for the extermination of Palestinians. They're not calling for the extermination of these pretend countries that were created, first by the Ottoman Empire and then by the British. These pretend monarchs, they're not calling for them. They went to school. They did nothing. For all we know, they're very liberal and Jewish. For all we know, they support a two-state solution. But they're being targeted. They're being brutalized by these crystal knocks that are going on in college after college. And I expect Kobe Hall and his ilk to focus only on their response. Attention, fellow Americans. Mark Levin here with a warning and a solution. I feel like our country's being destroyed by out-of-control spending and debt thanks to Biden and the American Marxists. And your hard-earned savings and retirement could be at risk from their socialist schemes. That's why you should consider Advantage Gold, the best of the best, a U.S.-based company that specializes in helping everyday Americans protect their wealth. They have a simple solution to help you even potentially grow your wealth despite the attacks from Washington. I urge you to register for their upcoming Gold and Silver Summit. It's fabulous. A free online event where you'll learn tips to help safeguard your finances by diversifying into physical precious metals. Call 800-900-8000. Call them right now to sign up securely for this pivotal summit. It is crucial. Tell them Mark Levin sent you for a special bonus. Call 800-900-8000 right now. Performance may vary. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
Mark Levin, the research arm of conservative media. Call in now, 877-381-3811.
President Trump on Hannity yesterday. Cut 3, Mr. Producer. Go.
We have to go back to the roots. We have to protect. We have to stop the anti-Semitism that's just pervading our country right now. And Biden has to do something. Biden is supposed to be the voice of our country, and it's certainly not much of a voice. It's a voice that nobody's heard. And look, I don't think he's able to do it. I don't think he's got what it takes to do it. But he's got to. He's got to strengthen up, and he's got to be heard.
Trump at a rally in Wisconsin just a few hours ago. Cut 4, go.
You saw it last night because New York was under siege last night. And these people, they were intense. And the person that heads up Columbia University was a great school. It's been, badly damaged, I think, reputationally. But the person that heads it up, a woman, she waited so long. She was so weak. She was so afraid. She was so bad. They could have done this with the tents, and it would have gone quickly and no problem. But they did an incredible job. They went into one of the big buildings, a beautiful landmark building. Boy, they got the hell beat out of it last night. You're supposed to take care of those buildings. It took a beating. But the police came in, and in exactly 2 hours, everything was over. It was a beautiful thing to watch. New York's finest.
That's the kind of president we had. That's the kind of president we need. And I just want to remind you the intense stress he's under, his own freedom, the injustices that are being done to this man. He's truly a historic figure. He's a truly remarkable individual as a human being. Remarkable individual as a human being. Mayor Eric Adams of New York. Cut 1, Mr. Producer, go.
And I know that there are those who are attempting to say, well, the majority of people may have been students. You don't have to be the majority to influence and co-op an operation. That is what this is about. And so if we want to play the word police, you could do so. I want to play the New York City police, where we're going to protect our city from those who are attempting to do what is happening globally. There is a movement to radicalize young people. And I'm not going to wait until it's done and all of a sudden acknowledge the existence of it. This is a global problem that young people are being influenced by those who are professionals at radicalizing our children. And I'm not going to allow that to happen as the mayor of the city of New York.
Let me say this. This is the most positive, coherent thing this man has ever said. And he's right on. Cut 2, go.
And another significant part of the video was at the end. That's our flag, folks. Don't take over our buildings and put another flag up. That may be fine to other people, but it's not to me. My uncle died defending this country. And these men and women put their lives on the line. And it's despicable that schools will allow another country flag to fly in our country. So blame me for being proud to be an American. And I thank Commissioner Daughtry for putting that flag back up. We're not surrendering our way of life to anyone.
Amen. Amen. To the Democrat mayor of New York, for once. I want to thank also those fraternity kids at UNC. By the way, you know what flag they're putting up there? They're taking down the American flag. And these Marxist Islamists are putting up the Palestinian flag. You understand? They're being celebrated by the Iranian leadership. They're being celebrated by the Hamas leadership. They're being defended by Stephen Colbert. They're being defended by other Democrats. As a matter of fact, they're being defended by Elizabeth Warren, who gets time on the Morning Joe show. This is when we separate good from evil, liberty from tyranny. This is when people come out of the closet, or they cower in silence. This guy Colby at Mediaite was perfectly fine when the Jews were under attack, when they were the victims, when they were defenseless. But when they push back, he's offended. I'm sick of bastards like him and people like him. No, I don't promote violence. I promote the opposite. I'm a constitutionalist. But I know a Marxist Islamist revolution when I see one. And if this guy Colby could read, if he ever read any of my books, even read part of them, he'd have a better understanding of what's going on in this country, rather than dismissing certain hosts and so forth and so on. Just another lame brain website filled with hate and bias, and in many cases, bigotry. Bigotry. Joe Biden has not spoken out. Joe Biden has not made a definitive statement. Joe Biden has not given a speech. Joe Biden specifically ignored the anti-Semitism during his State of the Union speech. Joe Biden is the but comment. Look, this is unacceptable what's happening in Colombia, but what about the Palestinians? I don't know. What about the Haitians? What about the Uyghurs? What about the southern border? You dumbass. That's right, he is. Once called me a smartass. Okay, he's a dumbass. Here's Pramila Jayapal. Represents the city of Seattle. Heads the progressive, a.k.a. Marxist group within the House of Representatives. She is a loathsome, diabolical Marxist. That's what she is. You're a Marxist, you hate Jews. You're Islamist, you hate Jews, so they have something in common. They have a lot in common. Here she is. Cut 5. Go listen to this twisted logic. Go ahead.
The anti-Semitism bill that Mike Lawler has a definition that is so broad that many of the Jewish groups like J Street and
J Street is an organization that is anti-Zionist, that is anti the state of Israel, wants it to be divided into two countries. It is the place where Biden and Blinken and Thomas Friedman and the self-hating Jews go. In fact, J Street isn't all Jewish, but it is a vile, poisonous operation, another front group. And so, of course, she cites it. Even J Street opposes this. Well, of course they would. That's what Marxist, radical left-wing groups do. And they give cover and aid and comfort to the likes of Pramila Jayapal. And by the way, they're so concerned about the First Amendment, aren't they? So worried about it when it comes to parents at school board meetings. They're so worried about the First Amendment when it comes to truly peaceful pro-lifers in front of abortion clinics, where they're throwing them in prison. Grandmothers. So worried about the First Amendment when the FBI is secreting itself in the Catholic Church. Very worried about the First Amendment. When it comes to the Biden administration, like no administration before it except for the Woodrow Wilson administration, giving orders to social media platforms on what they should and should not allow to be posted. Oh, yeah. Remember the disinformation board? Remember Twitter? And those courageous independent journalists who told you what's going on? That virtually every department of the Biden administration was involved in the business of squelching free speech? Oh, yeah. Jayapal and her Marxist ilk trying to put conservative talk radio out of business. That's why Soros is buying up radio stations, trying to put Fox out of business. That's why her party has written Comcast and other platforms trying to get Fox removed. Oh, the First Amendment crowd. They're very worried about the First Amendment. And, of course, they've all damned, they've all condemned this Soviet-style putz who's dressed up as a judge in Manhattan, Marchand, and his gag orders. Yeah, they're very worried about the First Amendment. No, they're not. Since when do Marxists give a damn about the First Amendment? Since when did Democrats give a damn about the First Amendment? Since when has Joe Biden and his administration given a damn about the First Amendment? In fact, since when have they given a damn about the Bill of Rights, written by all those white slave owners? Remember? Go ahead.
This and others cannot support. So why would you do that except if you want to weaponize anti-Semitism?
Oh, I see. Weaponizing anti-Semitism. You're a lowlife. You're a loathsome POS. We haven't seen Jew hatred like this in the United States of America ever. 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 And part of it is because of the change in our demographics, open borders, people coming in here from the Middle East who do not assimilate. You can see it now when they're taking down the American flag and they're putting up the Palestinian flag. You can see it by the things that they say. It's now openly, outwardly anti-American, attacking our economic system, calling us imperialist and colonialist, the Marxists and the Islamists. Together again. There's a reason why the biggest communist regime on the face of the earth, that would be Xi in communist China, why they are meeting with Hamas and the peaceful Palestinians, the PLO, working with them to try and get them to work together against the Jews, against America, against these so-called moderate Arab states. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny how a Marxist regime and the Islamists are working together? Isn't it funny how the Islamist regime, the Islamo-Nazi regime in Tehran, is selling oil to the Marxist regime in Beijing? Wow, how could that be happening? Isn't it amazing how the Marxists and Islamist professors at our college universities, who are paid by you, who are tenured, who are protected, isn't it funny how they're working together? And it's this program, you and me, that have revealed the funding sources for these movements. You and me, we did this. And I will continue to do it. How is it that George Soros and that pathetic puke of a son, Alex Soros, how is it that they've never been scrutinized? How is it that the FBI's never looked into them? And they're funding to overthrow the United States. And they're funding to overthrow the Netanyahu administration. I'll tell you how it is. This is the big sugar daddy for the Democrat Party. The big sugar daddy behind scores and scores of these Marxist Islamist front groups. He's the sugar daddy behind the Democrat Party and the dark money and the PACs and all the rest. The sugar daddy who's buying up radio stations. He's the one. And there's more. He's just one. That's why the FBI won't touch him. Well, Donald Trump, they won't leave alone. More when I return. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
My fellow Americans, we're living in very perilous economic times. Washington seems determined to bankrupt our nation with endless stimulus spending. As they devalue our dollar, hard-working Americans like you could lose everything. That's why I urge you strongly, register for the upcoming Gold and Silver Summit hosted by our friends at Advantage Gold. They'll teach you how to help guard your wealth using asset diversification into physical precious metals. Gold and silver can offer a defense against the dollar's devaluation, and the experts at Advantage Gold will explain how you can convert some of your savings into precious metals that can protect and potentially grow your wealth. With currency debasement from Washington and global uncertainty on the rise, gold and silver diversification can offer you some stability. Call 800-900-8000 right now to sign up. 800-900-8000 now. Tell them Mark Levin sent you. Performance may vary. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. You should always consult your financial and tax professional. Here's what I want the Marxists and the Islamists to understand. We red-blooded Americans aren't going anywhere. We're not going to put up with this crap. We don't control the college campuses. We don't control these cities. But there are tens of millions of us in this country from sea to shining sea. You don't represent us. We have nothing but contempt for you. We despise you. You take down the American flag and you put up a Palestinian flag? Ladies and gentlemen, for your sake, for the sake of your children and grandchildren, and your blood yet born, the sake of the poor souls who died defending this country, many of whom may be your ancestors or immediate family, for the sake of the future of this republic, the future of the American citizen, the future of the free world everywhere, we must do everything civilly, legally, humanely possible to ensure that Donald Trump is elected the next president of the United States. I want you to look into your hearts. I want you to think for yourselves. What is it that I can do? I can't rely on we, whatever that means. What is it that I can do in my role? I don't care if I'm an electrician or a plumber or a teacher or a cop, a lawyer, a doctor. It doesn't matter. We're Americans. What can I do? Well, I'm not allowed to participate in politics, but you are allowed to talk to 10 people who might be on the cusp or who are with us but may not want to vote for some reason. We need to vote. We need early voting. We need to pile up our numbers. We need to be them when it comes to the electoral strategy. There are tens of millions of us who are sick and tired of what's being done to this country, who are sick and tired of what's being said about us. If our ancestors could put their lives on the line to found this country, to advance this country and the constitutional republic that it is, to fight a civil war, to fight World War I, to fight World War II, and every war in between and thereafter, by God, find a way to help. In small ways and large. If you're a parent, parents groups. Tea Party groups are still out there. There are many organizations, but you don't even need organizations. Be your own organization, your own block captain. Don't be afraid to speak. Now's the time to speak. The dark clouds are forming over this republic. They're forming over this republic. Palestinian flags are replacing American flags. We have Marxists and Islamists teaching our children. Now is the time to speak. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. Well, now that we know that Biden has an all-of-government plan to bring Palestinians, a.k.a. Hamas voters, into the United States, and that he's been working on it for a long time, and that, in fact, he's already brought some into the United States. So what is the Senate going to do? I'm just curious. What will our friend Marco Rubio do? I hope he'll do something. What will our friends do in the House? Our conservative friends. What are they planning to do? I guess they'll go back and look at Robert's Rules of Order, parliamentary procedure, go to regular order, some subcommittee to a committee. Something, I guess. But what will they do that will actually work? Given the circumstances, given what we know, that the Democrats control the Senate, you got a 1 or 2 vote House majority, what are you going to do? Do something, damn it, rather than whining and complaining and having your damn surrogates text me. What are you going to do about it? Now we know that Joe Biden is bringing Palestinians from Gaza into the United States, individuals who are taught from birth to hate America, to hate Jews, and are taught violence. The overwhelming majority of whom do support Hamas, according to the surveys of Arab and Palestinian pollsters. Those are the facts. I know Jake Tapper can't stand it. I know. I'm sorry, Jake. You lazy POS. Well, that's what the data show. Actually, the Hamas data show. There's not a broad swath of the Palestinian population that opposes Hamas or terrorism in the Middle East. It's a lie. I cite their surveys. Their surveys. And of course, the people here in our country who so appreciate the fact that they're in our country, they're pulling down the American flag and replacing it with the Palestinian flag. Now, is it the peaceful Palestinian flag or is it the Hamas Palestinian flag? Well, I think it's more Hamas. Why? River to the sea. Exterminate the Jews. Oh. Wow. Free speech, you know. Free speech. That's free speech. Oh, yes. We'll be just like them if we punish them. Don't you know? No, we'll never be like them. October 7th. As I explained in great detail yesterday, there's a reason why CNN and the rest don't run footage of October 7th, as seen through the eyes of the mass-murdering, genocidal, peaceful Palestinians. Why not, Jake Tapper? Why don't you run the videos, Jake? Wolf Blitzer, why don't you run the videos? How about the Scarborough husband and wife team? Why don't you run the videos, huh? Maybe Rachel Madcow. That's right. Run the videos so everybody can see what happened on October 7th. The truth is, the vast majority of America hasn't seen it. It's the worst of the videos are impossible to look at. Impossible. We talk about the Holocaust. We have black and white film of the Holocaust. We have the bulldozers pushing emaciated bodies of tens of thousands of Jews into mass graves. We have the pictures of the gas chambers, the pictures of the ovens, the pile of clothing, the hair that was shaved off the heads of the Jews to make dolls for the little Nazi children. We have the lampshades that were made out of Jewish skin, the piles of teeth, including gold fillings. It's all there. It's all on film. It's all been shown. But October 7th, nothing's been shown. Nothing. And so you can turn the Jews in Israel into the enemy. Turn the Jews in Israel into the perpetrators. You can turn the Jews in Israel into the genocidal maniacs by using Hamas statistics, by running loop after loop of buildings that have been destroyed without any explanation that Hamas terrorists were housed there. Hamas weapons were there. That hospital was a Hamas headquarters without any context whatsoever. None. They don't even ask the American media, well, how many civilians have been killed by Hamas since they were elected to run the Gaza Strip? We don't have any idea, and there's no curiosity. Nobody gives a crap. Isn't it amazing? Yet there's Kobe Hobie, or whatever the hell his name, at Mediaite. We got the Jews now, boy. Did you see what happened to UCLA? They actually fought back. They went after the encampment. Wow, that was quite a slugfest. We've never seen Jews do that. Look at them. They're the perpetrator. Look at these Jews. They're fighting after months and months. And this is the way they report about Israel. After attack, after attack, after attack, after missile, after missile, after missile, after missile. Enough is enough. And you know what? I believe in we, the American people. I believe in we, the red-blooded Yanks. I believe we have a soul, we have a heart. We know what's going on. And we see what I've said over and over again. The same people who hate Israel hate America. And the same people who hate America hate Israel. And they are indoctrinated. And they are bred on our college campuses. And now it's moved to our elementary and middle and high schools. It's on TV every damn day. All you have to do is watch CNN and MSNBC. It's there every damn day. They bring in the frauds, the professors, the experts to tell us why we should hate ourselves, why we should hate our founding, why we are a racist, bigoted people. Day in and day out, that's what they preach. They hate us. We the people, they hate us. Because they are the progeny of the Marxist Islamist world too. And you know what? The feeling's mutual. We hate them. January 6th, they said, was an insurrection. What the hell's been going on for months in this country? The violence, the language. You know, it's amazing, America. The Marxists and the Islamists, the language they use against Jews. You don't even hear this stuff from white supremacists. I don't even know where the hell these white supremacists are. Maybe they're everywhere. I don't know. But I hear it from the Marxists and the Islamists day in and day out. Why are these people being cheered on by Stephen Colbert? Why are they being cheered on by the Democrat Party and their media? Why are they being cheered on by the Islamo-Nazi regime in Tehran, the Islamo-Nazis in Gaza, the Islamo-Nazis in Yemen, the Islamo-Nazis in Lebanon? They're being cheered on. They have the same support system. Why are they being funded by George Soros and the Democrats? And Democrat Party campaign funding organizations. Why? Why is Christopher Wray sitting on his hands? Why is Mayorkas sitting on his hands rather than deporting foreigners? Many of these people speak. You can see they're speaking in broken English. Anybody checking the lists? No. And every day from the administration we get Israel this and Israel that and Netanyahu this and Netanyahu that and the war crimes and Israel. Yeah. And we're sanctioning the Jews in the Judea and Samaria. That's right. And we're going to condition the weapons and whatever you do, don't destroy Hamas. This is what we get from this administration. Biden and Blinken have blood on their hands. They funded October 7th because they funded Iran and they rearmed Iran. Donald Trump had destroyed them and was in the midst of destroying their nuclear system, of which we have no plan to do right now. None. If Netanyahu never existed, October 7th would have still happened. It would have still happened. If Netanyahu never existed, Blinken, Malley, Biden, Obama, they still would have helped the Iranians access nuclear weapons. If Netanyahu never existed, the Marxist Islamist movement in the United States, with our open borders and our immigration system, such as it is, would still have created what you're seeing in the streets. If Netanyahu never existed, Bernie Sanders would still be a Stalinist who sided with every communist, genocidal maniac in our lifetimes. Rashida Tlaib would still be a racist, Jew-hating bigot, as would Omar. They would still be attacking America, undermining America with every breath. If Netanyahu didn't exist, it'd still be going on. Now Donald Trump. What they're doing to Donald Trump, they're laughing at us all over the world. Our enemies are thrilled. They're laughing at us all over the world. It's sickening. And I'm telling you, come thick or thin, no matter what comes, hell or high water, this man must get reelected. That is, elected for a second term. It must happen. The system is not the constitutional system. The system is not respectful of the Bill of Rights. Donald Trump is taking all this incoming because he's trying to represent you in Washington, D.C. to get our country back. You may not agree with everything he does or says. Who gives a damn? You know he loves the country. He loves the country. If he were putting himself first, he has a funny way of showing it. They're trying to bankrupt him. They're trying to put him in prison. They're trying to destroy his reputation in every possible way. Donald Trump is the least self-serving, self-aggrandizing politician in my lifetime. In my lifetime. He's a historic figure. And when the years go by, more and more people will realize he was a historic figure. Not the Lilliputians. Not the Yorkies and the Chihuahuas nipping at his heels. Not the Chris Christies and the Larry Hogans. The Romneys. And the other reprobates. History won't remember them because they're not worth remembering. Time magazine doesn't exist anymore. When it did exist, it was founded by a conservative couple, pro-Republican. But now they have a website. And as usual, they've been overtaken by the left. And they have an article in there about how so many of Donald Trump's former aides say that if he's elected, you can expect an imperial presidency. There was a book called The Imperial Presidency. It was about Nixon. They accused Barry Goldwater of wanting more than an imperial presidency, a dictatorship. They accused Ronald Reagan of wanting a dictatorship. We go through this crap every election cycle. And the same friggin' media outlets dust off their propaganda and puke it out again, hoping nobody will remember. But I'm here. I remember it all. We have the benefit of 4 years of Donald Trump. Peace in our time. Prosperity in our time. Despite the fact that they wouldn't give the guy a second's peace from the moment he and his wife came down that escalator. Not one damn second did they give him peace. Right out of the box. Impeachment talk. Right out of the box. Criminal investigation. Right out of the box. Russian collusion. Right out of the box, the media trying to destroy him. The media have destroyed themselves. The Marxist, Islamist, America-hating media. That's why people are moving away from networks. They're even moving away from most cable. They're looking at podcasters. They're looking at independent news sites. They're looking at Blaze as an example, and the Daily Wire, Daily Caller, Breitbart, Right Scoop, you name them. People hate the media. Every survey and poll has shown it, but they don't care. They're on a mission. It's the same mission as the Marxists and the Islamists, the same mission as the Democrat Party, to monopolize our politics. Imperial President Trump didn't violate the Supreme Court orders. Biden's violated too. Trump enforced our immigration laws. Biden won't enforce any of them. Trump respected the power of Congress. Biden never respects separation of powers. He's issuing spending bills. He's issuing debt. He's issuing rules and regulations, destroying one industry after another. And now he wants to bring Palestinians from Gaza into the country. If you want a suicide pact, you vote for Biden. If you want your country back, you defeat this bastard and vote for Trump. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Nowadays, $20 barely gets you a burger and fries, or maybe a quarter tank of gasoline. You know what it will get you, though? For just $20 a month, you can get unlimited talk, text, and plenty of 5G data from my cell phone company, Pure Talk. You'll get the same quality of service as AT&T, Verizon, or T-Mobile, but for half the cost. The average family saves almost $1,000 a year, all with no contracts and no activation fees. You can trade your phone or get great deals on the latest iPhones and Androids. Make the switch today and save an additional 50% off your first month. Choose a wireless company that shares our values, that supports our military and veterans, that creates American jobs, and refuses to advertise on fake news networks. Instead, they're right here with us. Just go to puretalk.com/Levin, puretalk.com/Levin, and make the switch right now so you can actually afford that burger and fries. That's puretalk.com/Levin. Levin. Oh, yeah. 30 seconds, that's all that's left. We got a lot more. Just need a little break here. All right, we're going to go to our break at the bottom, unfortunately. Getting into this song. We got a lot more. America's governor, what he had to say. We'll be right back. Nowadays, $20 barely gets you a burger and fries, or maybe a quarter tank of gasoline. You know what it will get you, though? For just $20 a month, you can get unlimited talk, text, and plenty of 5G data from my cell phone company, Pure Talk. You'll get the same quality of service as AT&T, Verizon, or T-Mobile, but for half the cost. The average family saves almost $1,000 a year, all with no contracts and no activation fees. You can trade your phone or get great deals on the latest iPhones and Androids. Make the switch today and save an additional 50% off your first month. Choose a wireless company that shares our values, that supports our military and veterans, that creates American jobs, and refuses to advertise on fake news networks. Instead, they're right here with us. Just go to puretalk.com/Levin, puretalk.com/Levin, and make the switch right now so you can actually afford that burger and fries. That's puretalk.com/Levin. Levin.
Mark Levin, the great one.
The great one, Mark Levin.
Dial in now, 877-381-3811.
Are you an individual or business owner facing the heavy burden of back taxes, levies, or wage garnishments? And by the way, a friend of mine, we'll call him Randall S., he read the readout or the text information from some group that is discussing, some official governmental group, Joe Biden's tax proposals. One of the things they're proposing is drastically, massively increasing the capital gains tax. Now, some of you might say, well, that's for the rich. I don't really care. Well, that's true to some extent, but you pay capital gains taxes too when you sell your home, as an example. Or if you die and your kids sell the home. So you pay a lot of capital gains taxes. And so what they want to do is increase to, I think it was almost 45%, Mr. Producer. Now that, of course, would kill the economy. But do you know why they say they want to do it? Listen to this. This is true. They say they want to do it because a disproportionate number of white people are paying the lower capital gains tax than minorities. And therefore, for the disproportionate number of white people who are paying this capital gains tax, we have to increase the capital gains tax as a matter of equity, racial equity. Did you know that, Mr. Producer? Is that not sick? So it's not about merit. It's not about success. It's not about prosperity and production and creating wealth and growth and all the rest of it, which helps all Americans. Ask the people who are trying to come across the border. Not trying, actually coming across. And this is what you get from this Marxist ideology out of the Democrat Party, this racist, bigoted, Marxist ideology. So we must massively increase the capital gains tax on all of you, and you pay it. Yes, you do. You may not think so, but you do. And we have to do that because white people are benefiting more than everybody else. Well, what about black people who are paying? Doesn't matter. What about Hispanics, Asian? No, doesn't matter. It's a gift to white people. Now, you see how sick do you live your life saying, I'm a white person? Do you live your life saying, I'm a black person, I'm a brown person, I'm an Asian person, I'm this? No. Trying to make some money. Money's the great equalizer. Doesn't know race, doesn't know faith, doesn't know anything. If you're good at what you do, you're going to make money. And don't tell me, if you have a chip on your shoulder, you'll never make money. You're an idiot. But if your goal is to make money, and you're good at what you do, and you're working hard to be the best at what you do, you're going to make money. Actually, whether you intend to or not, you're going to make money. Because people like winners. They like success. They don't care who you are. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Most products people buy, they don't know who produces them. They don't know if the CEO's black, white, lesbian, straight. They don't know. They don't care. They could care less. But the politicians care a lot because they divide Americans into all these different categories that they create in order to turn one against another. This isn't about white people. This is about the government seizing more money. It's that simple. Whew. Sick out there and getting sicker. The great Bob Grant observed decades ago. America's Governor Ron DeSantis, at a press conference today, he has to deal with the weasel journalists, so-called, too, by the way. Cut 12, go.
There was a report out that Joe Biden is contemplating importing a bunch of Palestinian Arabs from the Gaza Strip into the United States of America. And I didn't even think Biden was crazy enough to do this. That is not in this country's interest. You know, what we've seen over there, and we've seen the reflections in our own society of people out protesting in favor of Hamas terrorists. I mean, these are people that cooked babies in ovens while they were raping the babies' mothers, executing elderly people. We forget about what happened that day on October 7th. But that's what we're dealing with here. And to take people from that part of the world and import those blood feuds to this country, that is not in your interest or your family's interest. We should not be importing people in from the Gaza Strip.
Yeah, that would seem fairly logical, don't you think, America? Unless your goal is to destroy America and to empower yourself and your party. If you understand what I'm talking about, this is all about power, period. Power of the Democrat Party, power for Biden. And they have to change the citizenry. And if it means burning down our institutions, so be it. Who cares? They're illegitimate anyway. See, if you buy into this whole mindset, then anything goes. And that's all about Marxism and Islamism. More Ron DeSantis. Cut 13, go.
I hope that report is wrong. I think if he does that, it is not going to be something that benefits the United States of America. If anything, it'll just exacerbate a lot of the problems that we're seeing now. And, look, people can say what they want. I mean, it is a free country. But I also think about, okay, what does it say about our society that people would go out and demonstrate and take Hamas's side in this? That's a sickness that we see on these college campuses, but we also see the sickness in some of these other institutions in our society. And so I think part of what we need to do to unify the country going forward is to have people that actually want to assimilate into America, that actually believe in our founding principles, not people that just want to replicate a lot of these blood feuds that we see in other parts of the world. So our view in Florida on bringing in people from Gaza is no, we do not want to do that here in the state of Florida.
And by the way, Biden has been targeting the state of Florida for these secret flights of illegal aliens into the country. Fox has reported, based on data that they've been able to gather and that's been provided to them as well, that Biden is flying many of these planes filled with illegal aliens into the state of Florida, Mr. Producer. Did you see that? He's a sick old man. This is what he does. Tries to destroy anyone and anything around him. This is how he climbed the ladder. One more DeSantis. Cut 14, go.
That's not what we've done in Florida at all. You have a right to support or not support Israel. That's a First Amendment. You don't have a right to pitch a tent in the middle of campus and commandeer some of the property. And so what we've seen is when students, and there haven't been that many in Florida. I mean, it's a much smaller compared to these others. But when you go and you're bringing a tent or something on like a campus lawn, you know what they did at Florida State and University of Florida? They turned the sprinklers on and said, okay, you want to have, so that's just how it's going to be. But it's about conduct, and it's about making sure you're doing the code of conduct. So you can say whatever you want about Israel, pro or con. What you don't have a right to do is commandeer property. You don't have a right to harass individual students or faculty members. In Columbia, they were blocking a Jewish professor from being able to cross into a building just because he was Jewish. They were targeting for that. That's different than having an opinion on something. And so, no, what we're doing is absolutely right. I think the University of Florida put out a statement yesterday saying, people can have the views that they want, but the University of Florida is not a daycare center like you or we're not going to be sitting there and indulging them.
America's Governor Ron DeSantis. Now, one more. Juxtapose that to Stephen Colbert. The late night show. This guy is down the line, goose-stepping behind the Democrats, the Marxists, and the Islamists. He's not funny. He's an idiot. He's an absolute clown. He has no ratings. None. My weekend show on Fox has almost as many viewers as his network program does during the week, Mr. Producer. Cut 15, go.
The university president took the controversial step of calling in the police to arrest those involved. Now, even if you don't agree with the subjects of their protests, as long as they are peaceful, students should be allowed to protest. It's their First Amendment right. That is the kind of idealism you learn in college. It's one of the few college lessons you can use your whole life.
So here is this clown who must see what's going on TV, who must see what the Jewish students and other students who support the Jewish students are going through. He must see the beatdowns, the threats, the violence. He must see that kids are being blocked, Jewish kids, from going to class or even entering the college that they have every right to participate in. He must see the scenes. And then he pretends this is about free speech. And he trashes the cops. This is Stephen Colbert. He doesn't condemn Biden. He doesn't condemn Schumer. He doesn't condemn Nancy Pelosi or Hakeem Jeffries. He doesn't condemn CNN and MSNBC. He doesn't condemn the Scarboroughs who watch. He doesn't condemn Lawrence O'Donnell who watches. Rachel Maddow who watches. They cheer on. They celebrate. He doesn't condemn Jake Tapper or that whole lineup of numbskulls and miscreants on CNN. Doesn't condemn them. Doesn't condemn the removing of the American flag and replacing it with the Palestinian flag. He doesn't condemn the signs. He doesn't condemn the statements. But he condemns Donald Trump and MAGA. Constantly. You're either on the side of good or you're on the side of evil. And Stephen Colbert has demonstrated he's one evil son of a bastard. I didn't want to say bitch because, ladies and gentlemen, I don't like using those words. Do I, Mr. Producer? Stephen Colbert. What's with him? A comedian that's not funny? A guy who preaches, who's stupid as a doorknob? And now he defends, effectively, the anti-Semitism and Jew hatred on college campuses as free speech. I see. He doesn't say they ought to throw them in prison, throw the key away, the way he does with the January 6ers. That was an insurrection. This is free speech. Come on, Mark. This is free speech. Just targeting the Jews. What's the problem? It's been going on for 4,000 years. And now they're targeting America, as I told you they would. It starts with the Jews and it spreads out. They're attacking our country. They're attacking our history. They're attacking our flag. Because if you hate Israel, you hate America. And if you hate America, you hate Israel. And that certainly applies to Stephen Colbert. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Nowadays, $20 barely gets you a burger and fries, and maybe a quarter tank of gasoline. You know what it will get you, though? For just $20 a month, you can get unlimited talk, text, and plenty of 5G data from my cell phone company, Pure Talk. You'll get the same quality of service as AT&T, Verizon, or T-Mobile, but for half the cost. The average family saves almost $1,000 a year, all with no contracts and no activation fees. You can trade your phone or get great deals on the latest iPhones and Androids. Make the switch today and save an additional 50% off your first month. Choose a wireless company that shares our values, that supports our military and veterans, that creates American jobs, and refuses to advertise on fake news networks. Instead, they're right here with us. Just go to puretalk.com/Levin, puretalk.com/Levin, and make the switch right now so you can actually afford that burger and fries. That's puretalk.com/Levin. Levin. You have some of these universities that are caving to the Marxist Islamists, and they're institutionalizing their racism and bigotry. Morton Klein of the ZOA, Zionist Organization of America, is condemning Northwestern University President Michael Schill, good name, Provost Kathleen Haggerty, Vice President for Student Affairs Susan Davis. They are in a dangerous agreement, a BDS agreement, I'll get into that when we come back. There's a lot more, too. See you in a minute.
He's here. Now, Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. You know, Mr. Producer, over the course of the last few months, I've lost 30 pounds. Can you tell? 30 pounds. People say, oh, you look so good. And I'm sure they laugh behind their backs. But nonetheless, 30 pounds. I was 247 pounds. I was bloated. And now I'm 217, 218, depending on if I eat lunch or dinner or how that works. How did I do it? I just do it. It's the Mark Levin diet, which is if I have a big lunch, I have a very small dinner or no dinner. But what I really try to do is move lunch late. I try to have a breakfast, just a couple eggs, some toast. Look, I'm not preaching, I'm just explaining. People are asking me. And then I try to have lunch like at 3, 3:30, 4. And then if there is any dinner, it's very light. And that's how I do it. I still like bread. I'm still eating too much bread, but not eating as much as I used to. I've cut out a lot of desserts. Doesn't mean I never have dessert, but if I have dessert, that means the next meal has to be a little lighter. That's all. And as your stomach shrinks, excuse me, more and more, you can handle it. Now, that's not to stay, I'm going to stay this way, but it is my goal. I mean, it is my goal. I had a couple of tests done on Mr. Hart, as you know, the heart situation. Came out pretty good. So you left us out there. We were hoping I croak behind the microphone and my head hits the microphone. Ain't going to happen. What else can I tell you? That's about it. So our buddy Mort Klein, really one of the great patriots, says it's appalling that Northwestern University entered into a lopsided, dangerous agreement to appease numerous demands of the anti-Semitic, anti-American, anti-Israel, pro-Hamas Northwestern University Divestment Coalition. This is the BDS. The agreement, excuse me, cholera. The agreement rewards the Northwestern University Divestment Coalition's trespass and 5-day illegal encampment and occupation. Rewards the trespassers' abominable, threatening behavior towards Jewish students. Excuse me. Now, what did they do? They did this, in part. University officials damaged the university. They agreed to the following. Disclose, that is, answer questions from internal stakeholders about the university's specific holdings, their financial holdings. The Northwestern University Divestment Coalition, this is part of the BDS movement that's targeting Jews in Israel. They crowed that such disclosure is a first step towards divesting all investment in Israel. Now, they don't say don't invest in Cuba, Venezuela. Don't invest in Russia, communist China. Don't invest in any of the Arab states. Don't invest in Hamas. No. Israel, the Jews, you know. They want to reestablish an advisory committee on investment responsibility, including faculty and students, to be a conduit to the Board of Trustees. This will further aid the pro-Hamas coalition's effort against Israel, Jews, and American companies that do business with Israel. They allow the Northwestern University Divestment Coalition to continue occupying the Deering Meadow with 1/10 till the end of the semester. And it goes on. Anybody who sends their kids or allow their kids to go to Northwestern University, you are contributing to the Hamas Marxist movement in this country against America. That's what you're doing. You know, you have a choice, America. You don't have to allow your kids to go to these poison Ivy League schools, a coin I termed and I should have trademarked. You know, I say things like this just because it's annoying, but I would never take the time to trademark something like that. This cholera, I'll tell you what. You know, I went to the doctor's office. No, where did I go? One of these urgent care said, I think I have cholera, Mr. Producer, or whooping cough. Did you know this? I go in there and their eyes pop out of their heads. They say, no, you don't have cholera, whooping cough. I said, well, then what is it? It's stress. Stress. I give people stress. I don't react to stress. They said, are you allergic to anything? They asked me, am I allergic to anything? I said, yes, two things, Mr. Producer. Milk and liberals. I'm just kidding. They always ask me if I'm allergic to something whenever I go to the doctor, and I say liberals. Now, of course, I mean Marxists and all the other, but I don't want to confuse the people. Liberals. I'm allergic to liberals. Now and forevermore. So I want to thank the House Republican leadership for getting this done, the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act. And one of the great members of the House, the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan, solid conservative constitutionalist. Not one of these weirdos. You know, he's solid. Who also helped very much in getting this to the floor and getting a vote on this. And these people are getting things done that matter. That matter and could have a positive impact in the next election, as far as I'm concerned. Which is very important. We've got to win everything. We've got to win everything. Presidency, the Senate, and the House. We've got to get used to managing as a majority. Now, we need to bulldoze through people like Mitch McConnell, who says he's there really to stop Trump and everything. He'll just be another old man in the Senate with very little power. With very little power. And, you know, my perspective is if the Democrats want to vote for some of the things we believe in, good. Why is that bad? Then let them. That's okay. As long as we don't sell out our principles. Our principles are not, you know, let me just get into this briefly. What are our principles? Offsets? Proper order? Parliamentary rules? Those aren't our principles. That's inside the Capitol building bureaucracy. It's in the weeds. No, our principles are liberty, security, private property rights, limited government. Ours is not a movement to back a relative handful of members of Congress, whatever they say they are, whomever they are, whatever party they are, because they have a better process, because they have a better way. Now, that's not what it's about. Again, that's Washington speak. That's bureaucratic politician speak. And so that's why sometimes I'm just not part of this political bureaucracy about regular order, regular disorder. Fine, if it's regular order, I prefer regular order to disorder. I got no problem with that. But I care more about liberty and our sovereignty and our security than I do about that BS. And also, I have no interest in Pied Pipers who try to draw people into their world where we bang our heads against the wall and we get nothing accomplished, but we feel good about ourselves. I'm not interested in feeling good about ourselves. I'm interested in advancing the mission. The mission! The mission! No more white papers. No more, ooh, did you hear what Daniel said? Oh, no, did you hear what Frank said? Oh, did you hear what I said? Look at this, I trust them. Who cares? When we come back, scheduled at least, Chairman Jim Jordan. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin. Mark Levin, the thunder on the right. Call in now, 877-381-3811.
It's a pleasure to have our friend, one of the great conservatives really in my lifetime, Chairman Jim Jordan of the Judiciary Committee in the House. Mr. Chairman, I want to congratulate you and the Republican leadership. You got this Anti-Semitism Awareness Act to the floor of the House. You had a massive vote in favor of. Tell us about this.
Yeah, I mean, look, what's going on college campuses where you have people calling for the destruction of our dearest and closest friend, the state of Israel. You have people engaged in conduct and threats and harassment and attacks on Jewish students. And this says, stop it. This is wrong. And we want this definition that President Trump supported that doesn't infringe on First Amendment liberties, doesn't infringe on free speech rights. We want this adopted. And this is what a legislative body can do when you have this kind of crisis going on in college campuses around the companies. You can step up and actually lead and pass legislation that is good. And then we're going to continue to do the oversight that began yesterday, where we sent a letter, Mark, to Secretary Blinken, Secretary Mayorkas, saying, hey, what are these at Columbia, for example, Mark, 55% of the student body is here on a visa. How many of the students...
Whoa. Wait a minute. Slow down just a second. 55% of the students at Columbia are foreign students?
They're on on some kind of visa, most of them student visas. We want to know how many of those students are involved in this radical activity on college campuses, giving pro-Hamas chants, attacking Jewish students. We want to know who they are. And if you know the answer to that first question... Then second question is the State Department looking to revoke and in the process of revoking their visas? And if the State Department has revoked their visas, is the Department of Homeland Security removing them from the country? Because the law, the Immigration Nationality Act is clear. If you're espousing or promoting terrorist activity, you're not allowed to be here as a foreigner. You don't get a visa. So those are the three fundamental questions we posed to Secretary Blinken and Secretary Mayorkas. The Judiciary Committee sent to those individuals yesterday. And that is, to me, where we need to go with now that we passed this legislation out of the House, we'll see what Chuck Schumer and the Senate does, but then we need to do the oversight and find out 30% at Harvard, 58% at Northeastern University, and it's really high with these Ivy League schools. But when you got a majority of the students are here on a visa, that to me is something that needs to be investigated.
You think you're going to have a problem in the Senate getting this passed?
I don't know. You just never know. With the radical left that now controls the other party, you just never know. You would think not, but I mean, look, we've passed good immigration legislation. We've sent over there. We've sent all kinds of good legislation over there that the Senate hasn't taken up. I look at House HR2, the immigration bill we sent a year ago that they won't take up. I think it's an open question.
Do you think some of the Republicans will vote against it?
Well, I mean, look, we've spent this whole Congress investigating this censorship of First Amendment free speech rights of Americans when the Biden administration was, pressuring big tech. So I understand the concern there. I was satisfied with the language in the resolution, in the legislation that passed that was sponsored by Mr. Lawler out of New York. I was satisfied with that. I thought it safeguarded First Amendment liberties and dealt with this terrible situation we see across our country on college campuses. So there may be some, because we had a handful here, but we had 70 Democrats vote against it. And these weren't, in my mind, weren't the Democrats who were, focused on protecting First Amendment liberties. These were people who kind of come from the hard left position that is now, unfortunately, controlling the Democrat Party.
Honestly, as a constitutional, there's no First Amendment issue here. Nobody's being denied the right to speak as normal human beings speak. But as we see on our college campuses, the American people aren't stupid. They're not deaf. They're not blind. Yeah. They support Israel. They support their own country. They see what's taking place. These are violent attacks. Yeah. These are efforts to prevent Jewish students from going to class. They're pulling down the American flag and replacing it with the Palestinian flag. Now, they have the right to do it, but they do not have the right to do it on a college campus. That's not their property. Yeah. They can do it on their home all they want. And we can go on and on and on about these new First Amendment purist constitutionalists who don't know what the hell they're talking about. And by the way, Congressman, I don't hear them talking that way on the left, certainly, when pro-lifers are arrested in front of abortion clinics. And I don't hear them talking that way when parents are being monitored by the FBI. And I do have a question for you. We have the FBI director who was asked by this guy Holt on NBC, are you monitoring these protests? And he says, no, we don't do that. Now, we know he does do that. He won't even answer you, Congressman, when he was in front of the committee on whether or not they'd infiltrated the January 6th protests. We're not going to answer that. Yeah. But he's happy to say they're not monitoring this. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, and they're happy to have their field office in Richmond put out a memorandum talking about if you're a pro-life Catholic, you're an extremist. They're happy to have the Attorney General of the United States put out a memorandum that says if you're a parent going to a school board meeting, you need to be investigated. But no, we're not monitoring this crazy activity that looks really organized. When you look at the tents that are up and the money coming in, and it sure seems like there's some people being paid to come in there, not even students, some paid agitators coming in. So that looks like it's pretty organized. But no, they're not monitoring that. Remember, this is the same FBI can't tell us who planted the pipe bombs on January 6th. This is the same Justice Department that can't tell us who leaked the Dobbs draft opinion, the one that led to an assassination attempt on one of our Supreme Court justices. And this is the same Justice Department that can't tell us who put the cocaine in the White House. But, we got to investigate parents, and we have to, we got to look at pro-life Catholics, and we got to retaliate against whistleblowers who come to our committee and tell us what's going on. That's the concern, I think, so many Americans. And this is the same FBI, maybe most importantly, who went after President Trump over the last 8 years.
Now, we know who's funding these groups. I mean, I've reported on this to a great extent. The George Washington Extremism Project has. NGO Monitor has. There's a Hamas funding network. There's Qatar putting billions into our colleges and universities. There's the Confucius Institutes with the Communist Chinese. We actually have Iran and Iraq paying money into colleges and universities. But we also have George Soros, other multi-billionaire Democrats, dark money using their normal campaign fundraising operations. The Democrat Party is funding this. Is this one of the reasons why the Biden administration really doesn't want to look at this?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I think it's just pure politics, probably relative to one of the key swing states, the state of Michigan, and what's happening there. That seems to be what polling would indicate. So, the same money that's funding these prosecutors around the country who don't want to prosecute criminals who do terrible things. Probably some of that same money is financing this effort on college campuses, if I was guessing.
We're talking to Chairman Jim Jordan of the House Judiciary Committee, great patriot. We're going to carry him over the break. A few more questions. We'll be right back. All right, we're back with the Chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan. Do you think, Mr. Chairman, that Antony Blinken will be in the United States long enough to actually read your letter? I mean, I've never seen anything like this. This guy's everywhere. And by the way, everywhere he goes, he sets a fire. He keeps going to Israel, not to pressure the terrorists, not to pressure Iran, but they keep attacking the prime minister, attacking the IDF, attacking Israel. You've been in Congress a while. Have you ever seen anything like this?
I have not. What the ICC is talking about relative to Prime Minister Netanyahu. And the part that maybe bothers me the most is back during the State of the Union, when the president said in his about 2/3 through his speech, when he said that the United States is going to build a temporary port to give supplies to Gaza. And I was sitting beside a colleague of mine who was a West Point graduate, great friend, and I turned to him and I said, isn't it sort of rule 101 of warfare is if you want one side to win, you don't give supplies to the other side. But we had the Commander-in-Chief of the United States saying, we're going to supply the enemy, the people who launched the terrorist attacks, who elected Hamas, launched the terrorist attacks against our dearest and closest friend, the State of Israel. We're going to set up a temporary pier and give supplies to those people. That makes no sense to me. And then the very next week, Chuck Schumer says, Israel, you need a new prime minister. What? What are they talking about? How does that help the good guys in this situation win? I just do not understand it.
Let me ask you, what is the position of the House Judiciary Committee on the jurisdictional authority of the International Criminal Court and its so-called legitimacy? What is the position? Isn't our position is it's illegitimate? We want nothing to do with it?
Yeah, I don't know anywhere in the Constitution where it talks about the International Criminal Court. I mean, where is that? Like, what are we talking about here? This is an ally, our best ally, the state of Israel. And we should be like condemning this. Like, this is craziness. But
Biden won't. Biden won't speak out.
No, he won't. He won't. And again, it's scary that the left has that much control now of one of the two major political parties in our great country. I don't know what to say. It's just like who'd have ever thunk it? Who'd have ever thought we'd get to this position?
But let me ask you this:
States doesn't do it.
If they try and do something like this, would we, the United States, because the speakers talked about this, other Republicans have talked about it, said, you do this, we're going to sanction you, we're going to take actions. Would that come out of your committee?
It may. I haven't talked to the Speaker or House Counsel how that would be done. If it'd be done just as a House resolution or resolution we first developed in the committee, I'm sure we would be involved. I feel like we have some great lawyers who are part of our staff on the committee, and we put this together and make the arguments, whatever we have to do. But I don't know if that would be just a House position or if it come through our committee and then be part of the House position. But I'm sure we'd be involved.
What is it that we could do? President Trump talked about sanctioning them too. He wanted nothing to do with this. But here's the problem. It's actually bigger than Netanyahu and Israel, because Israel does not accept their jurisdiction. We don't accept their jurisdiction. So this court can claim jurisdiction over a sovereign country and then issue arrest warrants for a president, just as they could do for us, or they could do to you or our diplomats or whatever. We can't allow that.
No, of course not. We're separate nation states. That's not some one world entity kind of deal. That's just ridiculous. That goes contrary to our Constitution, contrary to Israel, their Constitution, and they're a sovereign country, just like the United States is a sovereign country. But we have to stand up and say this is wrong, because when we say it as the leader of the world, as the greatest country in the world, that has huge implications and significance for everything else, and keeps these other countries from going out and attacking, again, our ally, our dear friend, the state of Israel.
I just feel like Biden wants to put Trump in prison, and he wants Bibi overthrown. I mean, what kind of a thug is this? I'm just being honest with you, that he sits there in the Oval Office, he's issuing fiats on women's sports, on what kind of car you can drive. I'll go on. It's like, whatever he talks about Trump, democracy's threatened, we'll have a dictatorship. What the hell does he think he is?
Yeah, and this is something. So Alvin Bragg is charging President Trump with conspiring to interfere with the 2016 election. Jack Smith is charging President Trump with conspiring to interfere with the 2020 election. How about the real conspiracy? The real conspiracy is Alvin Bragg, Letitia James, Jack Smith, and Fonnie Willis conspiring to interfere with the 2024 election. And I think the American people see that loudly, see that clearly, understand it, and that's why what President Trump's up 7.6 points in the latest CNN poll, because they see it for what it is. This is a joke. Everyone knows that case in New York is a joke. We've released a transcript of Mr. Pomerantz when we interviewed this guy, the guy who was the catalyst for Alvin Bragg even bringing this ridiculous case, the guy who wrote the book. It's the number of times he took the fifth in that deposition was unbelievable. But that was the catalyst. The guy who wrote the book and was out to get Trump volunteered to work for Alvin Bragg solely for the purpose of going after President Trump.
Thanks for all you do, Congressman. We really appreciate you here, and keep it up. God bless you.
Keep up the great work.
All right, be well. Be well. He's a good man, really is. Let's see. The economy. Donald Trump, no wonder they don't want him to campaign, because he is such a compelling, charismatic figure. I'm telling you the truth. He is. And then when you watch him and listen to him and you understand what they're trying to do to him, and still there he is, and then you look at Mr. Shuffles, shuffling around, banging his head. Now the staff has to walk around him so you can't see that he's shut. The hell's going on here? The hell's going on here? What kind of candidate is this? What kind of man is this? Here's Trump in Wisconsin. A few hours back, cut 18, go.
The economy is crashing with the GOP growth plunging by more than 50% just in this quarter alone. Think of that. We're plunging. We're now in a Biden stagflation. You know what stagflation is? You know what it is? It's the worst. It's worse than inflation. It's worse than deflation. It's the worst. And we're in stagflation right now.
Let me tell you what he means by stagflation. The dollar is worth less. The dollar's worth less. The prices keep going up. And so you're caught in a double bind. Your money's worth less and the prices are going up. That's stagflation. And the economy can't grow, and it's not growing. Go ahead.
Which spells the death of the American dream, and that doesn't even include some of the horrible numbers that we're seeing flowing in from the poor and crime-ridden countries all over the world. They have people flowing in from the poorest and the heaviest crime countries all over the world. Congratulations. They come out of prisons. They come out of mental institutions, and they're coming in to be a neighbor right near you. So congratulations. I don't know how. I think Wisconsin probably, you're very open-minded toward that, right, Wisconsin? Are you open?
He has real crowds. He has real support. We better win this damn thing. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Now, I want you to hear this montage produced by our brothers and sisters at Newsbusters. How the radical, corrupt media keeps screaming about the end of democracy if Trump gets elected. That's all they've got. While they try to put him in prison, for God's sakes. Cut 19, go.
It is the end of democracy if we do not take and hold the president accountable.
This is about literally the safety of our democracy.
This is the end of democracy in America.
It's a clear and present danger to our democracy.
We are a democracy in danger.
Democracy is in danger.
Perhaps the end of democracy.
The end of democracy in America.
And the ending of American democracy.
If the Democrats fail, it might be the end of American democracy.
They're actually trying to destroy democracy.
We might see the end of democracy.
Could spell the end of democracy.
A re-election of Donald Trump could mean the end of democracy.
The death of democracy.
This is really scary stuff that could lead to the end of democracy.
The end of democracy.
It potentially is the end of democracy.
A memo that could have destroyed democracy.
The end of democracy as we know it in America.
It's a referendum on the end of democracy.
The end of democracy.
They want to destroy our democracy.
This gerrymandering case actually could be the end of democracy.
Planning for the end of democracy.
First, elect Republicans, and second, destroy democracy.
It is destroying democracy.
Our democracy really is in fundamental peril.
It's kind of like the death of democracy.
A case that could end democracy.
One, can Donald Trump really win again? And two, will it really be the end of American democracy if he does? And my answer to both those questions was yes.
I think it will be the end of democracy.
Democrats versus, as Bill Kristol says, the end of democracy. Democracy under attack.
When will America stop sleepwalking towards the end of democracy?
Right. An actual Trump-led wannabe empire is the end of democracy.
One election away from the end of American democracy.
Calling for the end of democracy. The death of democracy.
One vote away from sort of the end of democracy as we know it.
We saw in the midterms in 2022, the notion that our democracy was under threat was motivating to people.
1 year from now, it could be over. American democracy could be over. Donald Trump, 1 year from now, could win. Why does Joe Biden still have all of his campaign people inside the White House? When are they going to go out and start working on the campaign, not of his lifetime, of our lifetime. When are they going to start acting like American democracy is on the line and stop telling everybody to not worry?
What are they? Kan ikke erfaringen i det ghost track?
They have an idea. It costs if you gave them
with the withdraw, bringing U.S. home troops from home,
and the you need somebody.
Wait, so finally,
budget. But resist we must, and we will much about that be committed. I'm a warrior.
That it was.
I mean, they said that.
Look, the was it him?
Why I didn't. If we
we can walk and chew gum.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. True and international effort to pressure.
Been impeached for inciting the insurrection.
Donald John Trump incited the insurrection.
And what am I doing here? I'm going to lose track here. And
To confidence in the integrity.
Private economic. No! Don't let him. You know how much I'm going to do with the deficit this year? Bridges and those bullets that are collapsing.
And it is.
Happy birthday, dear Levin.
Part of the I introduce some of you to some of the leadership of
Ketanji drowned Jackson. You docs are good. If there's any angels in heaven, they're all nurses, male and female. God save the Queen, man.
President Trump incited an erection.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we're up against. Stupid and stupid more. We salute all you heroes out there. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Same place, same time. God bless each and every one of you.